Start. Madam Clerk, are we ready? All right, good evening and welcome to Committee on Ordinance. Today is Wednesday, April 24th, and the time is 5:35. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Chairman Espinal,
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Peterson,
Present.
Councilwoman Harris is absent, Councilman Oscar Vargas,
Present.
Councilor Royas is absent. You have 3 present and 2 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, first item on the agenda, please.
Item number 1 is a petition from Luis Olmo requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessor's Plat 62, Lot 212, 748 Atwells Avenue from R3 to R4.
Thank you. We also have an exhibit for this item, so I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record Exhibit 1A.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilor Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. All right, do we have anybody from City Planning Commission, please? Mr. Aza.
This one. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Robert Azar with the Providence Department of Planning and Development. I'm here to tell you about the City Plan Commission's recommendations in this and all the subsequent zoning petitions. This piece of property on Atwells Avenue is a house with multiple units in it, and the owner is seeking to add a unit and is requesting rezoning to the R4 zoning district that would allow that additional unit. The City Plan Commission found this to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and the purposes of zoning. However, they did express concerns about the existing condition of the site. There's an awful lot of pavement, more than what's allowed under the zoning ordinance, and there's not enough tree canopy on the site to meet the ordinance. So the recommendation by the commissioner was that prior to this public hearing, that the applicant fence off the parking area to separate it from the dwelling, and also that the applicant shall meet the canopy coverage requirement under the supervision of the city forester. I can't verify whether those conditions have been met, so perhaps that might be something you'd want to ask the petitioner about. I would say if that hasn't been done, then at the very least this should not be put on the full council docket for a vote until those conditions have been met. That would be my recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Azar.
You're welcome.
Do we have anybody representing the petitioner?
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and City Council members.
Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Sorry, Luis Olmo.
Thank you.
I am the owner of 748 Atwells Avenue. I am here today to request rezoning from an R3 to an R4 as a 3-family dwelling unit. Sits on the lot with potential for a basement unit. Currently, the basement has 2 entrances, very spacious with high ceilings. The location of the property is within walking distance of transportation, restaurants, banks, grocery stores, local bakeries, etc. I believe the current configuration of the house is not being fully utilized to its true potential, thereby meaning it can easily support another unit. There is no secret, the city of Providence has an ongoing housing crisis, and there is a demand for units. With this zone change, this can be the first step in combating that issue. In addition, prior to this hearing, I have hired an architect to have a vision of how the basement unit will look once finalized, and can provide those sketches upon request. Lastly, I will work with the city to pull any and all necessary permits to conform to the R4 zoning requirements.
Thank you. There was also a couple of requirements. I'm sure you heard Mr. Asa. Have those been met?
Yes, by the city forester, I got approval of that.
Mr. Asa, do we have any way of verifying that?
Mr. Chair, the petitioner does have a letter from the city forester that approves of the landscaping plan, and he has a plan for to fulfill the first condition about the fence. What I would suggest is that you can move this forward to the council, but don't schedule it for a vote of the full council until he can fulfill both of those conditions, which would be the planting and the fencing. He should be able to do that this spring, pending his ability to secure a contractor.
Thank you, Mr. Asa. Thank you, Louis. Has anybody else signed up to speak in favor or against this proposal, this item number 1? City Sergeant, do we have anybody that signed up? No one? All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. With that said, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing on item number 1.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Peters, second by Councilor Vargas. All in favor, aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Concludes this public hearing. And following the guidelines and direction of the City Planning Commission, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor
Second.
Peterson and second by Councilor Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And item number 1 is approved. I'd also like to acknowledge Councilor Royas, who has joined us. Thank you, Mr. Royas. Madam Clerk, item number 2, please.
Item number 2 is a petition from Dylan Conley Esquire, Conley Law Associates, 123 Dyer Street, Suite 2B, Providence, Rhode Island, 02903, requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessor's Plat 76, Lot 425, 171 Admiral Street from R3 to R4.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record Exhibit 2A.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson and second by Councilor Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Exhibit 2A is now part of the records. Mr. Asa, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a piece of property on Admiral Street. It's a major thoroughfare, and it has areas of commercial zoning, residential zoning of medium and high density. This petition would change this property from R3 to R4 so that the petitioner can build a small apartment building. The City Plan Commission found this to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and the purposes of zoning, and they unanimously voted to advise the council to approve this zoning change.
Thank you, Mr. Azar. Do we have anyone here from, on behalf of the petitioner?
Hello, my name is Julissa Arce on behalf of the petitioner.
Good evening.
I ask if I may present and pass out some documents that provide some visuals of the parcel and the proposed plans.
Absolutely, thank you.
There are a few copies there. In that packet, what you will see is a copy of the staff report that went before the Planning Commission, providing the staff's recommendation before the board. In addition, you will see that this particular parcel the plan here is to replicate the apartment, the multifamily dwelling that was proposed before the planning board, and actually that was before the ordinance committee for 697 Douglas Avenue. So I've included a copy of the site plan for the approved 697 Douglas Avenue as well. So to give you some context here, for this particular parcel before you that we're requesting the zone change from R3 to R4, it is a corner lot, and it currently has a dwelling on it. And what we plan to do here is to provide that missing middle structure. And by creating this same substantially similar project that was before the planning board and that was also before the ordinance committee, we're able to replicate the same techniques, we're able to purchase the same materials, and it allows a developer to become really good at the same technique. And when you're really good at something, you're able to perform efficiently, effectively, and more quickly, which is vital in a housing crisis that our state is currently facing. And so with that, that is what is currently before you, and we ask for the ordinance committee to approve this zone change. If you have any
Thank
questions.
you. Any questions from the committee members?
Hi.
Councilor Peterson.
Thank you. Thank you, Julissa, for presenting. I'm very familiar with the 697 project. It's in my ward, but it hasn't been built on yet. One of the things that I'm looking for, so I think that they were going to be doing, is it 12 units?
It will be 8 units in
8
each.
units.
And
So Admiral Street would have the same thing?
correct. And the plans are to be substantially similar, of course, to any obstacles that we face to a particular lot. We will accommodate it accordingly, but again, it will be substantially similar to what is before you. The goal is to replicate that to the extent possible.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
And
Absolutely, go ahead.
Go ahead, sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you.
And there are current efforts by the developer, by the architects that have been hired by the developer for Douglas. We are currently in the works of drafting a finalized plan for that, and we have been in contact with the city and moving forward for that development.
Thank you. With regards to 171 Admiral, one of my concerns for the Douglas Avenue project was the lack of parking or the potential issue with parking because it's on a corner lot that abuts Columbus Street. My concern is that parking, while I understand that isn't necessarily, and it's not required, we do have a continued parking issue with all of our streets in the city of Providence. 171 Admiral doesn't have any side streets that really linger so that people could park adjacent or on the side streets. So I'm wondering what the parking situation would look like for that particular project.
Yep. So for Admiral, and we had prior discussions with the applicant that there's currently some pavement on, so it's a corner lot. So on the eastern side, upper eastern side of the lot, there's currently some pavement there, and there's a goal to keep that pavement and potentially reserve that for parking.
Okay.
However, I do not want to promise anything, but moving forward, I'm sure the applicant, if he is here today, he'll take that in consideration, providing parking. And I know in the Douglas Ave site plan, it also provides structured parking.
Right.
And so whenever the particular parcel has that need for parking, the applicant will address those needs. And I believe for Douglas, we will be providing structured parking.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
We will entertain a motion to enter this document as Exhibit 2B into the record.
So moved.
Made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Varga. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. 2B is part of the record. Any further question for the attorney? Hearing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
City Sergeant, do we have anybody that signed up on item number 2? Do we have Luis Vicioso? Oh, coming up.
Hello, how are you?
Just the name and address for the records, please.
Luis Vicioso.
Thank you. Would you like to speak on behalf of item number 2, which is Admiral Street, right?
Yeah.
So on Armour Street, one of the good things that that property has is a corner lot. By being a corner lot, we can accommodate parking a lot easier because we can take advantage of the whole entire width of the lot, creating the parking in the rear of the building.
So that there is a plan for parking.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
All right. Any questions? All right, thank, Councilor Reyes.
It's one to one. 8 units, yes. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Vicioso.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Greg Dugarian.
Brent Bulgarian, 20 Exeter Street. I'm sorry to hold you guys up. If I could just lean against the wall, then I would be a little quicker. I would implore, request, please, beg, beseech, that the council not approve any zone change to R4 until we rectify the dimensional requirements for R4. Up until last year, R4 was like the other Rs, 1s, 2s, 3s. It had square foot per dwelling unit requirements. You know, we have small house lots in Providence, 50 by 100, 5,000 square foot house lots. That's R1. R2, you cut it in half, 2,500 per dwelling unit. R3, you cut it in thirds. R4, cut it in fourths. And then, in the lame duck council before you guys took office, and amongst a whole bunch of supposedly technical amendments, was thrown in this provision that R4, the number of square feet per dwelling unit, was reduced to what? 600, 700, 500? No, 0. That's irresponsible. That's not very precise precision. What I've recommended, what I've suggested, is that get a map of the city of Providence with all the R4 zones, take a look at it, and see, you know, what might be appropriate for reduced square footage per dwelling unit, and not just blanket sweep all the R4s to 0. It's as if we made R4 into R infinity. If we want to reduce square footage requirements, we should do it very precisely. if, you know, we talk about density, what we're talking about here is overcrowding. Someone coined the phrase that if you don't pay attention to history, you're bound to repeat it. What happened after World War II in the city of Providence and urban areas throughout the United States? Lost population. Why? Because people wanted to raise families, little elbow room, backyard, kids, place to play. Let's not repeat history.
Thank you, Mr. Dugarian.
Let's be more
you.
precise.
Thank you. Being that no one else signed up to speak on this item, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. This public hearing is now closed. And being that this is consistent with the comprehensive plan and following the instructions and directions of the CPC, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilor Vargas and second by Councilor Peterson. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 2 is now approved. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item number 3.
Item number 3 is a petition from Dylan Conley Esquire, Conley Law Associates, 123 Dyer Street, Suite 2B, Providence, Rhode Island, 02903, requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessor's Plat 35, Lot 555, 125 Toby Street from R3 to R4.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record Exhibit 3A.
So moved.
Made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. 3A is now part of the record. Mr. Asa, please.
Thank you. This is a petition, again, to rezone a piece of property from R3 to R4 to create an apartment building. This is on Toby Street in the vicinity of Broadway. It's adjacent to some commercial and RP, which is a higher density residential zone. Given its proximity to those zones and the land use designation in the comprehensive plan, CPC found this to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. The one reservation that they had about this building was that they had a concern that in rezoning to create housing, they didn't want to allow for short-term rentals because that wouldn't be sort of creating long-term housing for people. So the recommendation of the City Plan Commission is that a footnote be added to the map to prevent short-term rentals on the lot. If that's something that you wanted to incorporate, you would have to vote to amend the ordinance prior to closing the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Asa. Do we have anybody representing the petitioner?
Hello. Julie Sarce for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, for that introduction. So, to give some more background information on this subject lot, this one's actually pretty interesting because the lot itself already has a pre-existing principal structure, right? And the goal here, by having the zone change from R3 to R4, it allows there to be more than one principal structure on one lot, and we would not be able to create an additional multifamily dwelling without this zone change. And the footprint of this lot, if you look at it, it looks kind of like it's missing something already. So by allowing this zone change and constructing this multifamily on this property, it will essentially fill in the gap that the neighborhood is looking for, right? And so before I continue on, I ask if I may pass out a similar package so it could provide some visuals for you.
Absolutely, please. Three B. Madam Clerk will call this Exhibit 3B. I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record Exhibit 3B. Made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. 3B is now part of the record. Thank you. You may continue.
Thank you. So in that packet that I have provided, it is the staff report that was written by planning when the agenda item went before the Planning Commission for this referral. Additionally, I have attached some plans, some sample plans of the proposed structure for 125 Toby Street. So the biggest point that I would like to highlight for 125 Toby Street is that the developer here for this project is the same developer for the following two agenda items as well, for 20 America and 64 America Street. And his goal is whenever they see their work in Providence, is they see it as one single portfolio here. And they want to meet the city where the needs are met, need to be met, right? And so they are dedicating this entire project of providing 14 dwelling units at 125 Toby Street to be 100% affordable units here. And as part of this proposal, as you can see, they do have the right to go higher and to build higher and whatnot in an R4 zone. However, their goal here is to replicate what the built environment and really meet the historical feel of the building surrounding it. So they really do want to meet the neighborhood where they are at. Additionally, as part of the project, they are also having some yard space too, as they intend these units to not only be affordable, but also target different demographics so that there is yard space for example, potential families and whatnot. And last but not least, for this zone change, we believe that it is a perfect location. It immediately abuts a commercial zone and gives access to great restaurants and transit corridors and whatnot as well. So if you have any questions, I would love to answer them as well.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee members? Councilor Reyes.
I apologize. When you say 100% affordable, what AMI rate are we talking about? Are these going to be deed restricted?
Yes, they will be this, but so although it is not required, the developer and applicant has 100% dedicated this project to be deed restricted for affordable housing, correct? And I believe it's the 80%, and all units will have that deed restriction, and it will be rented.
That's great. And Chair, do you mind if I ask a follow-up? Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Go right ahead.
That's music to my ears. I love that. How many bedrooms per unit?
Bedrooms per unit, I do have the makeup here. It's also provided in the package that I have handed out to you. I can go ahead and pull that up. One second.
Oh, I think I see it here.
Any Councilor Peterson?
Thank you very much for this. I did notice that the property this build was substantially bigger than the one that's right next to it. But with that being said, I wanted to hear your thoughts on the recommendation made by our Deputy Director of Planning. I just wanted to see what your thoughts were with regards to adding the footnote and the amendment to that.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for the interruption. This is the architect for the project. You may proceed with your
Sure.
question.
I was just wondering what your
Excuse me. Are you the
I'm the architect for the project.
the developer?
Yes. So I deal with it.
Can I get at least your name for the records, please?
I'm I'm so sorry for the confusion. Yeah, my name's Kevin Diamond. I'm the architect for the project. I just wanted to jump in
Oh,
and see if I
thank
can
you.
offer to answer any questions.
You can stay. You can stay with her in case we have any questions. Thank you. Go ahead, Councilor Peterson.
So my question was, what are your thoughts with regards to the recommendation made by the Planning Commission with
Yep.
regards to the short-term rentals?
Yep, I would love to address, however, I believe I have an outstanding question for Councilor Royas. I just want to address that really quickly, and then I will proceed. To answer your question for the makeup, it ranges between studios, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, and so between 3, 2, 4, 1. So there's a good diversity with the makeup, and that's on page G-001. Alrighty, and so back to your question, Councilor Peterson, with we agree that the Planning Commission's recommendation with regards to the comprehensive plan and being consistent with the neighborhood. In terms to the short-term rentals, this property will be rented, so there would be no possibility for the owners to provide short-term rentals according to the Providence Code of Ordinances as written, and so it would essentially not be possible here. In terms of providing a footnote to the zoning code and to the actual ordinance itself, I leave that up to your own discretion. However, I do want to highlight that would mean that in any possibility, any realm that this property and this parcel is sold down the line, years and years down the line, that means that condition will be there. And we don't know what the climate will be like in 50 years from now. We don't know what the climate will be there in 100 years from now. And any restriction, of course, to a property, you never know what issues may come down the line. So we would ask and recommend to approve as written and as that was before you today. Again, it is up to your discretion, and we will not be providing any short-term rentals in this property.
Thank you. Councilor Peterson?
Thank you. I feel as though our Planning Commission, I feel like we should comply by the rules and the conversation and agreements or statement that the Planning Commission has done, so I would make the recommendation to add the amendment.
Thank you. Mr. Azer, is there any specific way that you would like to propose this amendment?
Yes, it can you can simply add a sentence that says there shall be a footnote attached to the zoning map prohibiting short-term rentals on this property. You're going to hear this one again a couple more times tonight.
Right, so you don't mind repeating that, and then I'll entertain a motion as you are going to state it.
Yes. There shall be a footnote attached to the zoning map that states that short-term rentals are prohibited on this property.
I'll entertain a motion to enter Mr. Azer's statement as stated. Made by Councilor Vargas.
Second.
Second by Councilman Royal. In favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Azer. Thank you. Councilor Royas, you have another question?
Yes, Chair, thank you. Just going back to the AMI, is it all 80%? Are there some like 30% or?
So to my knowledge, to what I had reviewed from the record, it's 100% at 80%, yep.
All at 80.
Yep.
Thank you. That'll be it. Thank you so much. City Sergeant, do we have anybody that signed up to speak on this item? Anybody else? They have Nick Vendelo. Good evening.
Good evening, Nick Baccarat. So it's hard to know whether you're for or against something without really knowing what the project is. But just knowing that area, being as I live on that street and own property there, the fact that I'm a little confused as to what this is. If there was, they already have a 3-story, and now they want, I think I heard, a 14-unit affordable housing, which is really hard to be against, right? But that area is a one-way street. The traffic there is already terrible all day, every day. Where are these 14 families going to park, and how are they going to do that and navigate around 2 freeway entrances that are there all day, and cars are backed up around the time? So I just hope that the council takes its time to look at this property and area and see the bigger impact that it may have. I can't say yay or nay for it, but I am concerned for those reasons, and I hope the council makes the best decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Mr. Greg Dugarian.
Grant Dolgarian, you heard my testimony from the previous one and it applies to this. I'd like to add one more thing, and that is that we are talking about a housing crisis, but we're not exactly being precise about this. My sense is that there's more of a housing crisis for families than there is for single individuals. And the more we slice and dice R2s and R3 zones, the less units we have available for families. And I'm very concerned about that. And I'd like to think we're all concerned about that. And we need to address that, but not the way that is being proposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dugarian. Attorney Julissa said, do you have an additional copy of this Exhibit 3B of your presentation? Can you please give one to Nick, who lives on the street, so that he's more informed as to what it is that you're trying to build there? I think that that'll help out. Being that no one else has signed up to speak on this item, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilor Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. This concludes this public hearing. And following the recommendation by the CPC, I will entertain a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilor Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. These, item number 3 is now approved. Madam Clerk, item number 4, please.
Item number 4 is a petition from Dylan Conley, Esquire, Conley Law Associates, 123 Dyer Street, Suite 2B, Providence, Rhode Island, 02903, requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessor's Plat 28, Lot 819, 64 America Street, also known as 62 America Street, from R3 to R4.
Thank you. Mr. Azar, please.
Once again, we have a petition to change the zoning of a property from R3 to R4 to add housing. This would allow for an apartment building similar to the last petition. And the City Plan Commission reviewed this and again found that this rezoning would be consistent with the city's comprehensive plan. And just like the last one, they recommended a footnote be added to the map to prohibit short-term rentals on the property.
Any question for Mr. Azar? Thank you, Bob.
Actually,
Oh,
I
I'm
have a quick
sorry.
question. I'm so sorry.
Councilor Peterson, go ahead.
Mr. Azar, just a quick question. The the build or the potential build for this particular property is going on currently what is parking for that particular street, correct?
I believe that there is this is a 8,300 square foot parcel that currently has a 3-family dwelling on it, and there is vacant land. I would defer to the petitioner about what's currently on that vacant land. It very well may be parking.
Okay, thank you. The reason, I can explain it to the petitioner when I follow
Yeah.
up, but thank you, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Azar. Can I have the petitioner on this item? And before we do that, I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record Exhibit 4A and 4B.
So moved.
Made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. 4A and 4B are now part of the record. Do we have anyone here? Attorney Julissa Ace. Acid. Hello again.
Hello. Julie Sarce on behalf of the applicant, and I also brought Kevin Diamond, the architect for
Thank you.
this project.
Hi again.
I want to say thank you, Bob, for summarizing this project for us. So this lot is somewhat similar to the previous lot we just had before you in terms of the fact that it also has an existing structure on the lot, and we need the zone change from R3 to R4 to allow more than one principal structure on one singular lot. And so I also have the architect to explain the differences and how that's going to fit and whatnot. And this lot also is quite a substantial size for the neighborhood, and by having this second principal dwelling on the lot, it kind of fills in that gap that's there, and it gives opportunity to provide more housing. And so before I continue on, I would like to present to you an exhibit that provides some visuals for this particular parcel.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record this item. We'll call it Exhibit 4C.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. You may continue.
Thank you. And so in that packet, what you will see is the staff report that was presented to the City Planning Commission for this referral to the Ordinance Committee for the recommendation, and also a copy of the conceptual plans for this particular development. And so, again, for this developer for this project, again, they see all their work in Providence. And I know Kevin can probably speak more on that than I can, as one singular portfolio. So what they do in one particular parcel should be viewed as one with the work they're doing down the street, right? And so as kind of a compromise here, and seeing what is financially feasible and what needs there are in the city, we have provided 100% affordable units in the 125 Toby location, and for this particular location, with what we're able to do with what's provided in the city is provide regular market rate apartments. And so what we'll have there is 27 units on that second principal structure that they'll be developing here. And again, this neighborhood is right there in Federal Hill. It is less than a quarter mile away from Atwells Ave, and it's a great location, walking distance from all the restaurants and amenities that Providence has to offer in Federal Hill. And so we believe that this is a great opportunity to have that to build within the already built environment, and to provide more housing that's deeply needed here in Providence. And if you have any questions pertaining to the plans, again, the architect's here, and I know one thing that he'll highlight is they have done tremendous efforts to match the character of the surrounding structures in terms of design and size for this particular lot. Yep. So if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any question from the committee members?
I do.
Councilor Peterson?
Thank you. Would you be able to explain to me a little bit about what's currently on the lot now? Because I did my Google search, and it looks like it is a parking lot that is available to the families or the people that live on America, and it is a pretty densely populated area, so I'm curious.
Absolutely, yes. So what's on the current lot is an existing multifamily dwelling. Excuse me? Oh, right, yes. So site plan AS002. So essentially, on the site right now is an existing historic multifamily home with a large and rather inefficient parking lot, just the way that it's set up. It's just not laid out to accommodate a lot of vehicles. It's frankly a lot of wasted space at the moment. And in our current housing environment, we see this as a really lovely opportunity to add more well-designed housing units to the market. And essentially what you see here in our proposed building is roughly the same width as every other building that marches along that street. We've just taken that width and put it right there. So that I think really helps with this to fit in and also be just congruent with the geometry that's happening around. We've introduced things like bay windows and just familiar architectural forms. We wanted this to feel like something that belongs, not like a spaceship dropped it from above, something that actually integrates with what's happening there. I think that in our neighborhoods, Providence has really amazing excuse me, neighborhoods that we should be focusing on adding more residential density to, and this is a fantastic opportunity to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Excuse me, Councilor Vargas, you have a question?
Yes. Sorry.
Oh, go right ahead. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you. I see that mostly the apartments are studios, like one bedroom. So which is your target? Like what benefits, what type of families or persons you're trying to attract into these buildings? Because according to this, it's studios, one bedroom and small ones. So you're trying to call the attention to students or any single person, or?
We're certainly not targeting a student population. I think what we're really trying to see happen here, these neighborhoods, these neighborhoods that really excite our team. So we're Providence based. We're right here on Way-Boston Street. We do a lot of work right here in Providence. We're really passionate about bringing more housing to Providence and doing so at all different price points. And I having lived in this particular neighborhood on Broadway, there's a ton of really wonderful shops and restaurants and stores and bistros, and the folks who operate those places, they don't have a place to live. There aren't a lot of housing options for people that are in the service industry, people who are basically the backbone of the culture of these neighborhoods. And I think the options that folks have is essentially, given current rental rates, is moving back home with parents or having roommates. And so we see these smaller units as a chance for folks to have an apartment at an affordable price point without having to have a roommate to offset those costs. That said, we're not doubling down having one standard size unit across the entire building. There is variety. So you have people who may want a roommate, some people who may not. So I think that that's the person we're targeting. We're not trying to be accommodating, or we're not trying to essentially target a student population. It's quite the opposite. We're trying to target the folks who are in the neighborhood that simply just want to live there. So that, I think, is the sort of the crux of the project and its DNA, really. Very different than the last project you heard, by the way, which was, the units were a lot larger. That was a much more family-centered floor plan, where you have 3-bedroom units and 2-bedroom units that are really large and were really planned for family use. Not to say a family couldn't live here, but I think the thought behind this floor plan was really thinking about how do you allow folks who are really propping up and supporting the neighborhoods to actually live in the neighborhoods that they work in.
Thank you. Okay, so, all set? Go right ahead.
Sorry. Thank you, Chair. Which is your target, like rent? If you start the building today, you will be finished, what, 1 year?
Roughly, I think a project like this would be, I would say, a 16 to 18-month project, but I mean, it's hard to say. I don't have a construction timeline at the moment, no.
So one thing that is crucial to the zone change petition is they're unable to provide any financial analysis in terms of feasibility until they have complete knowledge and verification of what zoning requirements they have in order to build. And so that part of the process is essentially the next step after obtaining the decision that is before you today. So that is something that's in the works. However, it's not able to be provided at this time.
Thank you. All set, Councilman Vargas?
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so this one as well as the previous one, Councilman Reyes? No, absolutely, go ahead.
Thank you. Just to clarify, I think you had, in your earlier remarks, you had said that essentially because this developer was proposing affordable units in exchange for 26 units, essentially? Is that kind of what?
Well, if you may finish your thought, I'm sorry if I interrupted.
Yeah, I think I just want to get the sort of the intent was that essentially urging this committee to, because the developer was, I think I'm sorry, my microphone is like really, sorry about that. Essentially, I think the remarks I'm paraphrasing was that we're going to meet the affordability sort of need, so we're going to propose 80% AMI in hopes that this committee would also support, I believe, 26 units in this development. Is that kind of the intent, understanding?
So respectfully, Councilor Royas, the answer is not quite. We want, and you can speak more to this as well, the goal is to meet the city's needs in terms of housing and in terms of affordable housing. There has been substantial plans that we have been working through within our own interdepartments and also with the city that reflected different conversations of having affordable units in all of the projects to some capacity, right? And what essentially ended up being the final product that went before the board today is what is currently in front of you and what is financially feasible for not only for a particular project but also for the particular needs of the neighborhoods as well. And so, like I mentioned earlier, the developer sees all of their work in Providence as one. And so, even though with the final product that we were able, when I say final product, I'll say final concept that we were able to come to today at this point, that is where we fell. And it was in no way a give and take before the committee today. It was no way a threat to we give you one and now we want the other. That is not at all what we were asking for. This, in fact, has been months and months of working together to see how we can provide a high-level housing overall to meet this housing crisis and do it beautifully in one nice fellow swoop, right? And then you can speak more to that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think really well put. I think ultimately our organization is, as I said before, we're really committed to doing good work in Providence, and we're operating at multiple scales and multiple price points. I think what we're seeing around the city, and honestly, it's really a microcosm of everywhere else in the country. There's a lot of problems systemically that we're seeing globally on this issue. And I think really what it is, distilled down to its simplest form, is a game of musical chairs, right? And there's not enough chairs for everybody, and it's at every price point. And I think that what we're seeing is the housing crisis doesn't operate in a vacuum, and neither does our work. And at the end of the day, when you see what's happening in the housing market, it's very fluid. You know, folks who are priced out of a $400,000 price point, they can bump down or bump up, you know, reasonably so, and that ends up putting pressure on the price points adjacent to their price point. So we personally feel, and we've centered our practice around providing lots of housing, smart housing, and what we think is well-informed housing at a variety of price points. And that's ultimately what we're talking about here. So I think what we showed you at 125 Toby is a little bit different than what we're showing you here, and it's going to be a little bit different about the case that you're going to see next. And if you were to, you know, sit down in our architecture studio and look at what we have on our boards, it's different from the next 10 projects. Because at the end of the day, what we need are solutions across the spectrum. So I think you put it really well that it's not one levers off the other in a 1-for-1 ratio. It's much more complex than that. It's so intertwined. So that's what we're trying to do here. And like I said, I think, you know, this project is a real opportunity for folks who work in the west side of Providence to be able to live in the communities that they're a part of.
Thank you. Councilor Reyes?
Chair, thank you. Just a follow-up. I guess this is just a thought, perhaps not pertaining to this project, but I guess often Councilor Vargas had asked about sort of the price points, and I think the answer was like, we're not sure. You know, the first step is getting this approved, and then, you know, developing kind of the finances around that. I guess I hear that often when folks come before the ordinance committee. There's not even sort of a ballpark range, because I imagine that there's some type of planning around, well, if we do get this approval, we're looking at this price point. Is there not even a ballpark range that you might be able to provide?
So I unfortunately don't have a ballpark range for you. I don't have anything that I can share. But what I could say, and this is sort of the nature of how the design plays out, ultimately, and I'm going to use the word affordable, and I don't mean it in a subsidized manner, I just mean it in a general term. When you have a smaller unit, it's more affordable than a larger unit. So you essentially open the door to somebody to have an apartment of their own that would otherwise had to have an apartment with a roommate. So intrinsically or inherently, when you have a smaller space, the absolute amount of dollars to rent that apartment is just far less than renting a much larger apartment. So that's what guides this thought. And it's not the solution. Like I said, there's so many different pieces of this problem, and so many different solutions that need to be offered. And this is just one particular solution for this particular problem, offering different size ranges of apartments. That's like kind of step one for folks who just want to live somewhere without a roommate. That's one of the pieces. So I don't have sort of a dollar amount to suggest, because I would be wrong if I threw something out there. I don't want to give you misinformation, but just inherently it will be cheaper.
Thank you. Just one more quick question from Councilor Peterson.
Yeah, because you're proposing several builds on the same street, I am particularly concerned or curious about what the parking would look like. That street is already very heavily congested, especially when you have nightlife and restaurants and festivals that happen in that particular area. So I'm just curious about what that would look like.
Absolutely, I'd love to address that. So, I mean, ultimately, it's in our best interest together, you know, the city and our organization, to construct something that's going to be useful and that'll actually work. It doesn't do us any good to propose a building to put together and, you know, invest all our time and energy and resources in that will be deficient of something that'll detract from its marketability or from its ability to perform well, right, and to be an active member in our portfolio projects and the city that we're operating in. So we fully believe that the way we're thinking about the parking on these sites makes a lot of sense, and I can explain why. So we let the data essentially tell us how to approach these problems. So we look at our folks who are renting in our portfolio. We have a ton of data and information about what the parking demands are for units that we already operate in different parts of the city, and we understand what the parking demands are, neighborhood by neighborhood, precinct by precinct. But furthermore, where it gets more granular and really interesting is at the size range of the apartment. What we've noticed, and we've actually built pivot tables to track this, to understand how this works so it can inform our design. Again, it does me no good to design a building that doesn't make sense or doesn't work. So ultimately what we've seen in the numbers and in the data is that the units that are smaller, there's a higher probability that those tenants will be car-free tenants. Folks who rent larger units tend to have cars. Folks who rent smaller units tend to rely on things like electric scooters or public transportation or Uber. There's a whole generation of folks that really don't want their license. I mean, we're looking at a different way of getting around, and I'm not saying the vehicle is extant. I'm just saying that the data speaks for itself, that smaller units lend themselves to less vehicular centric. So when you have a higher unit count but smaller units, your parking demand actually goes down. So if we took the same amount of volume and had 1 unit per floor, your parking demand might actually be higher because the people who live there are just going to be vehicular centric. So that's what we've seen. I just wanted to share that.
So is that no parking?
So yeah, and on this site there is parking. I just want to say there is parking on this site, but it's not like and it's also in accordance with those. Oh, is this a little better? Okay. Yeah. So I mean, and there is parking on this site. I just wanted to also address that as shown on the site plan. It's just not. It's certainly not a 1-to-1 parking ratio, but we would say that it's certainly in conformance with what we've seen in the data of what the parking demand would be in units like this.
Could you I'm sorry, you said it was on the site plan, so I'm not quite sure where. Could you show me?
Absolutely. Yep, AS 002.
Okay,
So there are 8 spaces that are proposed there.
8 spaces. Okay.
Of it is that it was
I see.
designed to keep that section available for parking.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. But I have an additional concern expressed by the City Planning Commission, which they also recommend that we put something in there that will prohibit short-term rental. Do you have any objection to that?
No, there's no objection. Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, Mr. Aza, do you want to state how you would like to, the footnote to read? I send you a mic so you don't have to get up.
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, it should say exactly what it said on the last one. If I can recall, there shall be a footnote attached to the zoning map that prohibits short-term rentals on this property.
So I'll entertain a motion to amend to prohibit short rentals on this lot.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The petition is now amended. Well, thank you so much. City Sergeant, do we have anybody that signed up for this item? So I have Scott.
Sure. I was just indicating that, so everyone knows that we can't hear it all with this mic, but that mic was really powerful. Hi, my name is Scott Fitzmaurice. I live at 152 Federal Street. I just want to say, first of all, I'm so grateful for city government, and thank you to all the city councilors that work on this. I feel that people have no idea how little you make and how much time you put in and how many nights you're working on something to all hours. I really want to take a moment to say that. So,
Thank you.
Yes, I get it. I do a lot of stuff myself. And this is really all about stewardship. And 30 years from now, you'll look back at some of the things you did and we'll be really proud of like what we've accomplished. You know, people created zoning, I think, to be there for a reason that's important. And sometimes we make changes, but it really is precedent setting. And I think we have to be really mindful of sort of the precedent that it says. Things change. Federal Hill is an amazing place. I've owned property there for 30 years, and I'm really excited about the changes. I actually like the new buildings coming in among the old buildings. I think that's fun. I love that there's all these little restaurants opening in the corridor. I love that those of us that are all about attainable housing, I don't use the term affordable, have been able to keep pricing between $750 and $1,200 per person based on double occupancy, and that we don't really need to be forced to do that, but we want to keep the neighborhood diverse. And and all about diversity and inclusion, which I think as far as, we're living, I just a little bit about me, I'll be quick. I paint over the graffiti, I plant the trees on the streets a lot. I've been cleaning up the trash at 64 and 62 America. I haven't complained about it. I reach out to Anthony when we have a trash problem in our neighborhood, and he sends someone down, and we're all really invested in this. And I really love this community. But I just get by financially. I've owned 30 different properties, 8 in Providence that I purchased that had no parking, and each of those I found ways to creatively make parking. Right around there, I've owned 152 Federal, 165 Federal, 158, and 6 and 6.5 Europe Street. All of those had no parking, and I've figured out ways to make parking. I bought a house across the street. I took a small section of the yard off, created parking, because I want to have it be sustainable infrastructure for our neighborhood. That's what I really care about. So that in 50 years, even now I look and I see people walk out of that house and they go over and they get in their car, and I feel good because it's like, I just know, and they don't know who I am, and I think that's kind of awesome, that there's like that ripple that we create. So I think zoning changes, we have to be really careful. It does concern me. I love the idea of 20 America Street. I think it's really close to Atwell's. It seems to make sense they could do something there. Maybe jack the building up and put parking under in that area. That, to me, is something that you think about. Or getting another lot there. But the other part of America, it's really spot zoning we'd be changing, where you've got a neighborhood that has a real feel. And if they can come up with the parking, I think we could think about it. Also, I love what the comment was earlier about supporting families. I'm a person that had inconsistent housing when I was 3 with my mom, and at that point, we lived in a church for a little while, so I've always rented to people with kids, and I think that we have to make sure we're building places that can have children. It's important. I'm almost done. I think why would they create what type of person would create a plan without parking built in? And that's what I wonder. And these are probably great folks, but to me that doesn't seem like they have the same vision that maybe a lot of us have for the city, that we want people to be able to park somewhere. It'd be great if we all use scooters, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime really soon. So I'm concerned about precedent changing with the zoning. But one thing I want to say is that our forefathers created this zoning. I don't know who they were, but our job is to pick up that torch and sort of carry it on. In some cases where it needs to be changed, but I'm concerned that development might be just a little bit unbridled, and that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. Have David Howe?
Chair.
Yes.
I'm sorry, could I just make a statement?
Absolutely, go ahead.
It's not a question for the person who just testified. I just want to say, not really a question, but I just want to say that was the most optimistic, joyful, testimony, even though you were sort of in opposition of it. I just appreciate your energy and your hopefulness. It was very refreshing, so thank you.
Well, I'm always available anytime I can be helpful for you too. I really mean that, because I just think that together we can make the city pretty awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Roy, I think you just loved the compliment you got. Well, great work. Thank you. That usually doesn't happen. All right, David.
Hi, I'm David Hand. I live at 13 Messenger Street in Providence, which is right in Federal Hill. We also own 81 America Street, which is about 1/4 of a block down towards Atwell's, where 62, 64 is located. And our concern is with the project is that right now America Street is at its saturation point. We've got, too many people, way too many cars, many issues with garbage, emergency services have a difficult time going down the street because of the fact that it's too condensed the way it is. And our concern is that this project, as it sits, would just aggravate all of the issues that we have. In fact, make America Street in that area probably push it backwards rather than move it ahead. We too are very engaged in making Federal Hill a better place to live and bringing more people in, making it more affordable. But we also realize that there are many issues that have to be taken into account, and we don't feel that this project, by introducing, 26 more units in addition to the 3 that are already there, taking away 17 parking places, really adds anything of value to the street as it stands. If it were a project that everybody could gather around and say, yes, that's great, we like what's going on, we'd be all for it, but unfortunately, that isn't the case. And the other issue we have is in that area where this zoning request is made, there's a lot of people that own their own places, they live there, and when they bought in, it was a 3-family neighborhood, and we don't feel that it should be diminished, and all of a sudden, the density increased because people were buying based on what they were thinking was going to be happening over the next 20 or 30 years. The last thing I'd like to add is the issue of parking. You had mentioned the parking lot across the street. We have tried, we're on a waiting list to get in there. And the lot is, it seems empty when people drive by it because everybody's at work, but all of the spaces have been rented or spoken for, so that they're really, it's basically what's going to happen is you're going to have 30 or 40 more cars vying for parking places on that street. Right now, America Street takes the overflow from Atwell's and helps contribute to making Atwell's a successful revenue engine for the city of Providence. And everybody that can't find a parking place on Atwell's comes up into the America Street area looking for places. So we're very concerned about anything that's going to change the, make things a little bit worse than it already is, because right now we don't think that we can accommodate any more changes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Josh? Good evening.
Good evening. How you doing? My name is Joshua Pacheco. I live at 58 America Street. I'm a condo owner for the last 4 years. I disagree with the new development at 64 America Street. I live directly next to it on the left. It's way too many units. 26 units is way too many units. I work for Cox Communications. I'm a construction planner. I basically do this every day. I go into lots, vacant lots around Providence, in exactly units, 25, 50 units. This amount of space that they're gonna have for this, it's not a common thing that you would see in my line of work, working on these buildings every day. It's just, there's, like the previous people came up here and said, it's a very busy street. A lot of people park there to walk up. I think, and it said 10 units would have parking spaces, but if, they had friends over, they had a girlfriend, you're looking at double the amount of cars. So I don't really know where anyone's supposed to go. That's just what I had to say, and thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Mr. Dugarian? Mr. Dugarian, if you like, and could just enter your previous statement. You are in opposition. You basically already stated the way you feel about these changes. Thank you. Madam Clerk, make sure that his previous statement is also entered into this item.
So noted.
Thank you, Greg. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this item. Did you get to sign up? It's not on here. This is item number 4.
Yes, this is for America.
Yeah.
Oh,
There were 2 America
the
Street.
6264.
Right.
Maybe I put my name on the wrong one.
But you're here now.
I'm
so
here. I'm here
can,
now.
Madam Clerk, if you could please give this to her, she can sign up.
So my name is Leslie Hand, and I own property on America Street, 83 America Street, and I live in Messenger Street. Both of these properties are about 30 seconds away from the property that's requesting the zoning change. And first I want to just start by thanking the City Council. I know that you guys, this is not an easy job. You're trying to balance, it's a balancing act of trying to find affordable housing, but also meeting the needs of the neighborhood and you know, giving us the opportunity to sort of express some of our concerns, and I appreciate that. One of the biggest concerns that I have is just talking to the neighbors in this neighborhood. They get a notice of R4 zoning, but they didn't really understand. There wasn't any information of what the actual proposal was. And I had a little bit of information just from reading the news, although, I don't know, a lot of people don't read the news these days, of what the changes or what the proposed changes were, but a lot of my neighbors didn't. And I don't know if once this goes to an R4 zoning, will there be another opportunity for the public to come and do a public hearing as to what the proposal is. From what I understand, that's not actually something, once it goes to R4, then it's done and they can put whatever they want on that piece of property. So there are a lot of people who didn't know this, and you know, I wonder how much that will impact the neighborhood, because people are kind of upset in the neighborhood. There's a lot of us that have lived there a really long time, and a lot of owner-occupied as well as tenants that have lived there a long time, so a lot of people are kind of upset about this. There's 2 proposed properties on America Street looking for R4 zoning, as you know. The 2 of these will eliminate approximately 30 current parking spots, and at the same time, between the 2 properties, there will be 65 bedrooms total. 65 bedrooms is a lot of bedrooms, and when you figure that a lot of these are going to be singles, it's probably going to be couples, 2 cars. I could easily see anywhere from 65 to 100 extra cars. And where are those cars going to go? They're going to go out onto the street because they don't have parking for them anymore. They're eliminating the parking. And that would be my biggest concern, because basically, you know, if you have anything up to a 6 family, you can go in the Providence city regulation regarding on-street parking permit gives you the ability to get a permit. But if you're over 6 units, you can't get a permit for the street. So where are these people going to park? Are they now going to claim hardship and then ask for a variance to be able to get parking permits for the street? I don't know, but it's an awful lot of units and an awful lot of people who potentially could have cars. And we do have a number of properties that are 1 bedrooms, and we do have attainable rents for people. And every single, I would say 90% of the people that we have in Federal Hill have cars. So I can't believe that people are going to be going into small units, because that's not our experience, and not have a car. I specifically oppose the request for 6264. This single lot already contains 12 bedrooms, 3 units, in an existing building on a single lot. The proposal after the zoning change would add to those 12 another 28 bedrooms on this 1 single lot. So that's 40 bedrooms. And the way that they're accomplishing that is by eliminating all the parking on that one single lot. I understand that they have the proposal down the street. It is a vacant lot with no other properties on it. It's closer to the Ave. I think that most of us would probably be willing to concede on that one and let the developer do what they need to do on that one. But for the one that's down in the heart of the residential area, I think bringing in what could potentially be 60 to 100 new cars on the street just would be a disaster. I'm sorry if I'm emotional about it.
It's okay.
We live in this area, and it's parking is already, we already deal with overflow on the weekends from Atwells Ave, and people, you know, taking up parking spots, and you're trying to figure out where you're going to park, and you're driving around on a Friday. Studios and one-bedrooms in micro units is not addressing the real need of affordable housing for families. And that's what I would leave it at.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you. All right, so Councilman Royes?
I just want to make another statement. Appreciate the passionate testimony. I just wanted to say I'm going to contact Councilor Miller and ask her if I could adopt you all as my constituents in Ward 4. So,
I'm sure President Miller will not agree to that, but anyway. Being that no one else has signed up to speak on this item, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson and second by Councilman Varga. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. This public hearing is now closed on item number 4. I'll also entertain a motion to vote on this item at a later date. The reason for that is to allow for public engagement. So we will not be voting on it tonight. We'll vote on it at a later date.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Varga. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk, item number 5, please.
Item number 5 is a petition from Dylan Conley Esquire, Conley Law Associates, 123 Dyer Street, Suite 2B, Providence, Rhode Island, 02903, requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessor's Plat 28, Lot 1046, 20 America Street, from R3 to R4.
Thank you. Mr. Azar, please. And before
Thank you.
Mr. Azar gets here, I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record Exhibit 5A and 5B.
So moved.
Made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Mr. Azar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is very much like the last petition. 20 America Street is zoned R3. It is a lot of larger than 5,000 square feet. It's currently vacant. Admittedly, it's used as a parking lot. The proposal is to construct an apartment building on this site. Same request, change to R4. And the City Plan Commission's recommendation is the same, that you approve this with the footnote about not allowing short-term rentals. If I may, I just want to take a moment to talk about the relationship between parking and housing. This is a challenging one, and I do think that it's important that we acknowledge the fact that that we need to build housing in this city. There's huge demand. We have seen among the highest increases in rents and sale prices in the country. That is a direct result of not enough supply of housing in the market. This city is already very densely developed. Density is I think, a very positive thing in that it allows for us to create walkable neighborhoods where things are close together. This is one of the things that we love about the city. Cars are a fact of life in cities. Traffic congestion is a fact of life in cities. We know that people who come to the city, even if they don't have parking spaces off-street, are going to want to put their cars somewhere. The place that we make available to them is on the street, just like any other city. In that case, there's going to be a lot of competition, and some places are going to be very heavily parked. That is a fact of life in a city. I don't think it should be an expectation that everybody who has a housing unit or everybody who lives in a house and has a car is going to get an off-street parking space. All due respect to the people who think that it's a good thing to pave property in very dense Federal Hill and build parking, most of that parking is more than what our ordinance allows. All of it was created by taking pervious surface that is supposed to naturally drain stormwater into the ground, and it's now flushing it into our stormwater system, which is exacerbating other problems in our city. We need to grow our population. If there's demand, we need to accommodate the demand, and there have to be opportunities where that demand can be accommodated in a manner that allows for people not to have cars. Taking up land with parking spaces is expensive. It's land that could otherwise be used for housing. So I want to say to you that there has to be a balance here between how much housing we build and how much parking we build. And I would ask you to consider tilting the balance towards housing and less so towards parking. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Azar. Anybody here for the petitioner?
Hello again.
Hello again.
So before I begin, one more time today, I would like to provide and ask that it is as an exhibit of tonight's record, some visuals of the proposed project.
Thank you. And we'll call this, Madam Clerk, Exhibit 5C. I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record Exhibit 5C. Made by
Second.
Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would just like to reiterate everything that Bob Azar just explained in great detail. And I thank you, Bob, for providing that insight regarding the need for housing and the balance that needs to be done in terms of development in the midst of a housing crisis and providing that avenue to do so, right? And in that same light, I believe while we're doing these efforts to develop more housing throughout the city, it is consistent with the comprehensive plan that, as stated in the City Plans Commission's recommendation, and with where the city is going moving forward. I know that there has been tremendous efforts in the revision of the comprehensive plan to make Providence a walkable city, and part of that is to in fact be walkable, to have access to not only transit corridors, but by having more density in this sense, it meets the housing crisis, and it also provides more opportunity and sort of a way forces the hand of developers to create opportunities for there to be more access to amenities and more access to different essential needs in order to have that walkable city, right? And another point that I would like to highlight here, by providing this housing, on surface lots and to providing these more housing in these dense environments, it creates an opportunity to reduce the amount of climate pollution in the area. As previously mentioned by the architect Kevin Diamond, about with the type of unit structure and diversity that is provided in these projects, which is substantially similar to the project that was just presented to you, 64 America, with the unit makeup, it invites more of a demographic that does not have cars. And so by providing that as an opportunity, that means that there's going to be more area for green, right? Density is green. There's going to be less climate issues. And it's funny, the other day I actually just saw an electric RIPTA bus, and I thought that was amazing. And so we're already going there, and I believe that this application and this petition before you is vital and part of that process to go where the city wants to go. And again, I can go through the particular details of this particular lot as well. Again, as stated, this is a vacant lot as opposed to the previous lots that had structures currently existing. This one's vacant. This one's currently a parking lot that's being used. And one of the goals of the comprehensive plan, I believe it's objective M6, is to eliminate those lots to create more housing, right? And so this is actually very consistent and directly consistent with the comprehensive plan. And it's going to be providing 24 units in this 4-story dwelling. And again, part of the design and structure here was to mirror the built environment and make sure that it's meeting the character of the neighborhood, and it's not going beyond what is already there while also still meeting the housing crisis.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee members?
Yes.
Councilman Vargas.
Thank you for your explanation again. But we came back at the same problem. The issue is the parking. And it's a little street, and now we got 2 proposals with more cars, more people, and we had to figure out how we're going to fit or make a different plan to work in this particular area. And it's a great proposal, but we have to work it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Vargas. Anybody else? Councilor Peterson.
Attorney Arce, do you own a vehicle?
Do I own a vehicle?
Yeah.
Yes, I do own a vehicle.
Do you live in Providence?
I do live in Providence. Yes.
Okay. I'm sure you can feel akin to a frustration when you can't find a parking spot on a pretty popular area in a pretty congested, and I'm not even just talking about America Street, I'm talking across the board in the city. I appreciate everything that you just said, and I believe it 100%. Right now, we have an issue of the fact that not everybody works from home. Not everybody can get to work with the bus system that we have. We don't have trains or metro or anything along those lines that will help us when we get there. Absolutely. But I think that we need to be fair and conscientious of the fact that we have to address the congestion, if not just because there's multiple cars consistently, but also for the emergency vehicles that have to go through these really narrow streets and have to get to their destination in a proper amount of time because they're emergencies. In my particular neighborhood, I'm very concerned about all of that because of the density and the congestion of cars. So I am very, very much sensitive to this particular issue. And America Street is something that I'm very familiar with. My family, by extension, was on America Street for many, many years, so I know that area very, very well. But I do appreciate what you're saying. I just think that we have to be very conscientious in the moment about what we're trying to do. It makes sense, but right now that's not solving the issues that we have at hand. And if we don't address those, I don't feel comfortable supporting something that doesn't already give a solution to the problem that's going to come forward.
Thank you, Councilor Peterson. You want to respond to that? Yes. Sure, go ahead.
Thank you for that amazing insight. And yes, I do understand that there is congestion, and then I believe that's part of the beautiful nature of living in a city, right? And I'm actually pretty fortunate that I'm able to walk to work if it's a beautiful day. I like to do so. I know with the winter that we just had, it wasn't as often, but whenever it's a nice day, it is great to have that opportunity. And I believe that Providence is working towards having that opportunity for not only a few individuals like myself, but so that the entire city can have that benefit. And I believe that this project is playing a role in making those steps. And of course, not every single trailblazer is able to have the best opportunity and have the best results in the beginning of things, but that's part of that's kind of what comes when you're trying to build, you know, and it's how we're able to move forward. It's how we're able to create and make these changes. And unfortunately, you're right. There are some casualties that come along the way. However, with this proposed project, we are meeting the number one, the first fire at hand that we believe is the housing crisis. And of course, there are so many fires that are happening, and we can only juggle so many, but this particular project is targeting that one. But yes, I do 100%, I hear your concerns, and I believe that we are trying to meet those in other ways as well. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. And then again, as with the previous one, under the recommendation of the CPC, I will entertain a motion to amend the petition to prohibit short-term rentals on this lot.
So moved.
It's made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you. City Sergeant, do we have anybody else that signed up to speak on this item? It is item number 5, please. All right, so Mr. Dugarian, would you like us to do the same thing that we previously did? I can enter your comments into the record, but you're welcome to come back up. Come on in.
Grant Elgarian. I would just like to give a little context to my comments. I grew up on the second floor of a 3-family house, and it was, I grew up in the land of 2 and 3 deckers. It was, you know, reasonably densely populated, not overly densely populated, not a lot of elbow room. We had essentially no place to play. We played in the streets. I broke my share of windows, repaired every one, and wasn't until I was a young adult that I discovered that the city of Providence had actually done a recreation conservation master plan of the entire city. I was amazed, I was impressed, and I visited every single one of those sites that was listed in that plan. It was a plan of the 60s, and it listed the location and what the size was, what was there currently, what was being proposed, my observation overall was that about a third of what was being recommended had been accomplished, and about a third of what was being recommended had been partially accomplished. About a third of what had been recommended hadn't happened at all. Of course, I happen to live in one of the neighborhoods that nothing had happened. So I would suggest that we need to look at the opportunities for a little recreation space for kids. And once again, I say that we have a housing crisis more for families than for singles. And the proposal to move anything to the current dimensional requirement of R4, and I should say, to be more accurate, the current non-dimensional requirement for R4, is premature. We should look at R4s, make it more appropriate and reasonable, keeping in context with the neighborhood, and then go forward and make decisions. As my mom would say, everything in moderation. And so I would encourage, I would beseech the committee to defer action on this one also until we have a better perspective on what needs to be accomplished. I hear the planning department saying, oh, we need to build more housing. It's as if we didn't have enough housing in the city of Providence way back when. We did. What happened? I encourage the committee members to look at census data from 1950 and compare it with the census data in 1970. Where were all the people in 1950? Census tract by census tract by census tract. And where do we lose population by 1970? Census tract by census tract by census tract. And then we can approach the objective of providing more housing from a basis of understanding of where we were. So
All right, Greg, thank you so much.
So I would request...
10 more seconds and finish your statement.
I would request the committee do that before we send anything into R4 territory, which is at the moment just unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you. So it is getting pretty late, and we still have about 3 or 4 more items that, I'm sure there's a lot of people that signed up to speak. So if we could please keep your comments to less than 2 minutes so we can move it along. I really appreciate it. Being that there is no one else that signed up to speak on this item number 5, I'll entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. This public hearing is now closed. And this one also as well, I'll entertain a motion to vote on this item, to continue and to vote on it on a later date as amended. So, made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. This item is continued for a vote on a later date. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item number 6, please.
Item number 6 is a petition from Julissa Arce, Esquire, Conley Law Associates, 123 Dyer Street, Suite 2B, Providence, Rhode Island, 02903, on behalf of Boise Fortes, requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessor's Plat 43, Lot 1000, 702 Potters Avenue, and Assessor's Plat 43, Lot 412, 706 Potters Avenue, and Assessor's Plat 43, Lot 411, 710 Potters Avenue from R3 to M-MU-75.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Azar, please. And before that, I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record Exhibit 6A.
So moved.
Made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. 6A is now part of the record. Mr. Azar, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a petition not to build housing. It's a petition to change the zoning such that a business can expand. That business currently is within the R3 zoning district. It was another business that was allowed by variance many years ago, and in the modern age, we try to practice better land use practices by having the zoning reflect the use that's on the property. This stretch of Potter's Avenue does create, does have a fair amount of mixed use, and in this particular case, there is a MMU 75 zone. It's a mixed use zone that's directly adjacent. The owner of the property wishes to expand his business, and this zoning change would effectuate that expansion. He would still have to meet all of the required setbacks and other dimensional regulations of the zone, but this is, in my opinion, and in the opinion of the City Plan Commission, the correct zoning for this property. So there was a recommendation to the council to approve this. There is a condition that you don't have to attach to the zoning change, but it would be one that we would follow as we review this for compliance, as we review the addition for compliance, that the petitioner shall demonstrate sufficient members to screen the use from neighboring property to reduce transmissions of light, noise, and vibration from the site. Those are all part of the regulatory structure that would be required anyway.
Thank you. Question from committee members for Mr. Azar? Hearing none, thank you, Mr. Azar. And attorney for the petitioner?
Hello, Julissa Arce for the record.
Hello again.
And so I have the owner with me today. This is Boise Fortes.
Hello.
Boise Fortes.
Alrighty, I just wanted to introduce you to the owner and applicant. So he owns actually the 3 lots that are before you today for the zone change from, I believe it's a R3 to MMU. And so I know he's here, he'll probably say it better than myself, but to give you some background, I believe he's owned this lot for probably about 30 years that he's owned this lot, operating his business off of this lot for the plumbing business. And he also has an auto repair business that he wants to expand and include on these 3 lots, these 3 parcels before you. And he actually has proposed plans for these as well. And I would like to present to you the proposed plans that he has. The proposed plans are completely compliant with the zoning code, and in any event that there's any deviation, he plans to submit and alter such plans so that it does conform with the zoning code and any other conditions that that zoning or planning would like to include.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record Exhibit 6B.
So moved.
Made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. So as you can see, currently the 3 lots, the far left, as I would see, has the existing structure, which is the plumbing business, right? And then there are 2 immediately adjacent vacant lots that currently may or may not have some vehicles that are being parked there. And moving forward, what this zone change would do would cure the nonconformity by the existing use on the property and allow him to continue his business and to expand the business to include the auto repair shop, which is a by right use by the proposed zone before you today. And additionally, we have discussed with various neighbors. They have no objection to the plans that he has here. And in fact, he's great friends with the neighbors. He can speak to them himself. The owner, in fact, lives down the street, I believe on Benedict Street. So he's very familiar with the neighborhood. He would not do anything that would obstruct the neighborhood. And in fact, this proposed addition is right across the street from MMU, so in no way will change what's currently there. And in fact, it will cure the nonconformities that are currently existing, that are legally nonconforming, and give an opportunity for a local business owner to continue contributing to the community. And another fun fact is he's actually was a Spanish teacher at Central High for almost 20 years, and so we'll just be feeding into the community and creating more and more role models for those to come.
Thank you. Any question from committee members? Thank you. Thank you so much. City Sergeant, do we have anybody else that signed up to speak on this item? Right, so being that nobody else signed up to speak on this item number 6, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this item.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. This public hearing is now closed. And following the recommendation of the CPC, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. This item number 6 is now approved. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item number 7.
Item number 7 is a petition from Richard A. Pasha, 50 Power Road, Pawtucket, Rhode Island, 02860, on behalf of JVAC LLC, requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessors Plat 108, Lot 32, 181 Pecasset Avenue, Assessors Plat 108, Lot 24, 187 Pecasset Avenue, Assessors Plat 108, Lot 23, 191 Pecasset Avenue, and Assessors Plat 108, Lot 22, 11 Lowell Avenue, from R3 to C2.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record Exhibit 7A.
So moved.
Made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Exhibit 7A is now part of the records. Madam Clerk, we receive a request to continue this item to June 25th. So I'll entertain a motion to continue.
I believe that there was an amendment that we had to make, or did you want to hold that until the 25th, Bob?
You could do it either way, as long as you leave the public hearing open and continue it till the 25th.
We are continuing, so I'd rather have the entire conversation on the 25th.
Yeah, so leave the public hearing open, continue the
Absolutely.
public hearing until then it doesn't have to be re-noticed.
Exactly, which is why I'll entertain a motion to continue to June 25th.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. This item number 7 is now continued to June 25th. Madam Clerk, item number 8, please.
Item number 8 is a petition from Jennifer R. Cervenka, 225 Dyer Street, second floor, Providence, Rhode Island, 02903, on behalf of the Providence Community Health Centers, Inc., requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessors Plat 32, Lot 295, 239 Cranston Street, from R3 to C2.
Thank you. Mr. Aza. And before Mr. Aza, I'll entertain a motion to enter into the records Exhibit 88.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Peters, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Go right ahead, Mr. Aza.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This petition would allow, would change the zoning for this lot from R3 to C2. It would allow for the current healthcare facility at this site operated by the Providence Community Health Centers to expand. This is along Cranston Street, which you know is a major thoroughfare on the west end. This property is surrounded by C2 on two sides. It should be zone C2. It's probably, you know, another one of these legacy variances. And our position is that the zoning should reflect the commercial use that is there. The City Plan Commission found this to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. The commission recommended that you approve it. They actually recommend that you continue to expand the zoning to include the adjacent lot, Assessor's Plat 32, Lot 209, which is currently zoned R3, because that's a large area of multifamily. It's an apartment building. So just a suggestion, not a requirement. I would advise you maybe not to do that without giving that property owner notice. But I think it's more of a recommendation to us as we're looking at the comprehensive plan that should probably be rezoned. But I think for the time being, my advice to you would be to consider the zoning for this lot and to pass on a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Any question from committee members? Thanks. Do we have anybody representing the petitioner?
Good evening, Chair, Councilors. My name is Jennifer.
Good evening.
My name is Jennifer Cervenka, and I'm counsel to the Providence Community Health Centers. I have with me our project engineer, who's got demonstratives of site plans to orient the committee. If she can set that up, is that okay?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
This is good?
Yes.
Okay, all right. As indicated, we're here on a proposed map change for 239 Cranston Street, and that's to change it from, as you heard from Mr. Azar, an R3 to a C2. Currently operating at the site is the healthcare facility's central facility. There are 12 across the city. This is its central facility, and it's operated there since the 1970s, so 50-ish years or so. We are seeking the zone change so that we can put a expansion onto the existing facility. It's about 3,300 square feet. It would add 10 exam rooms. There's a lot of need for additional services. It would also rearrange some parking, and a little bit later I'll have our project engineer, Ms. Shea, go through that. It will add green space, it'll add landscaping, and then it will improve pedestrian access. Before coming here tonight, as you heard last fall, we did get a conditional approval for the expansion as part of the development plan review. And then in March last month, we went before the City Planning Commission, and they recommended approval of the zone change. You heard that they were a little more expansive in what they wanted to change, going all the way out to Dexter Street. We are not setting forth that proposal. We're just setting forth 239 Cranston Street. And I do think as council that there would be some notice problems associated with that because you have to, measure so many feet. So that's not our proposal. We're only seeking 239 Cranston Street.
Correct.
Thank you. Just a couple items on how we believe this fulfills the goals and the objectives of the zoning ordinance. Two jumped out at me. One is the promotion of public health, safety, and welfare by allowing the expansion of this important healthcare facility and increasing these public health services in the city. And two, providing for orderly growth and development. This would allow, if it were approved, a conforming zoning for a long-established use, again, about 50-ish years. And as you'll hear from our project engineer, it will be more conforming as far as dimensional regulations and design standards, as well as the use. So with those general comments, I'd like to have Ms. Shea walk us through this. In connection with our
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Christine Shea.
Good evening.
Christine Shea, professional engineer with Dupree Engineering. This is just a snapshot from the Providence GIS tax assessors information. The brown color is the current R3 zone, and the more pink is the C2 zone. Our project is located there with the blue outline, and clearly you can see, as Bob had mentioned, nearly surrounded by C2. And then the parcel that he was referring to that maybe we want to, at another time consider extension of the C2 zone would be the parcel just to the left of ours, heading down Cranston Street to the west. This is the project that went before the City Plan Commission. The building shown existing is in the center of the site. It's roughly an 8,000 square foot building. We proposed about a 3,300 square foot addition, total somewhere just under 12,000 square feet total for the project. Under zoning ordinance, that would require 24 parking spaces. I will note that the addition, which is shown in kind of the light beige color, underneath that there is an existing parking lot. Essentially, we're not changing the impervious coverage on the lot. We are replacing the parking lot with the addition. The zoning requirements for this size with the addition is 24 parking spaces, and we have 34, so more than adequate parking for the project. As Ms. Cervenka mentioned, we have improved the nonconformance in a C2 zone. The addition helps to bring the facade to the street, closer to the 0 to 5 setback from our property line along Bridgham Street. We're also improving fenestration, so there's not too many windows on the existing building. The addition proposes a lot more windows, and also they're actually retrofitting back in the existing building several new windows to improve fenestration as well. Of the other improvements we've introduced, they have a good relationship with the neighbors. There are actually 2 stockade fences along the northern property line. Those will be replaced with one brand new stockade fence and some plantings in that area. And as you can see from the plan, or maybe you can't because it's a little small, we're proposing a lot of plantings along Bridgham Street, and also screening some of the mechanical equipment on the Cranston Street side. And the final improvement I would mention is that we are also, that we do have some utility penetrations into Bridgham Street, and as part of that, we have offered to repair or replace the sidewalks in that area and the tree well around the existing tree, and we have added quite a few street trees on the project as well.
Thank you so much. Any question from our committee members? Councilman Vargas?
Thank you. Are you planning to build any second floor in this building or
No.
one floor?
Maintaining the single floor.
Single floor?
One story.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Vargas. Well, thank you so much for such a detailed presentation. It's actually answered all the questions that I had. Thank you so much. Well, you needed 24 parking spaces, now you have 34, so thank you. City Sergeants, has anyone else signed up to speak on this item? Thank you. Last name Kennedy? I cannot make out the first name. Magdala Kennedy? All right, so that takes care of that. So being that no one else has signed up to speak on this item, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion is made by
Second.
Councilor Peterson and second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. This public hearing on item number 8 is now closed. And following the recommendation of the CPC, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number is now approved. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item number 9.
Item number 9 is a petition from John J. Garrahy Esquire, John J. Garrahy Law, LLC, 2088 Broad Street, Cranston, Rhode Island, 02905, on behalf of Meow Mix, LLC, requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessor's Plat 9, Lot 614, 400 to 410 Hope Street, from R3 to C1.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion to enter into the records Exhibit 9A, 9B in support, 9B in opposition, and 9C.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson and second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Mr. Asa, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. This petition, similar to the last two, is for a commercial enterprise that has been operating within a residential zone by variance. This particular site has had other commercial uses on it for many years. There are variances going back decades on this property. It's well established as a mixed-use property. Currently, there is housing as well as a veterinary practice. There was recently a daycare also on the ground floor. The petitioner seeks to expand the veterinary practice to the entire first floor. When this came in for approval, we told her that it was not allowed because of the way the variance was written. And as I have described to you over years now, the city does not engage in the practice of zoning through use variance anymore because of the standards that are in the law and because of the way that the law department has been advising the zoning board. So the recourse in a situation like this is for the owner to petition the city council to change the zoning map. The best zone for this, in my opinion, is C1. It's a commercial zone that allows for a range of uses, including housing, office, medical and dental office. It also allows for restaurants and retail and some other uses. There is a little area of C1 close by down at the corner of Olney and Hope. And more importantly, given that the historical use of this property has been for commercial and mixed use, C1 is the appropriate zone. The City Plan Commission, in its letter to you, makes that recommendation that this should be rezoned to C1. I understand that there has been an amended petition filed. I also understand that there has been a lot of dialogue with neighbors and with Councilor Anderbois for the 3rd Ward. I will let others describe these discussions and how they propose to find a way to approve this. But I just want to make it clear that the Plan Commission's recommendation is that you approve this.
Thank you, Mr. Azar. Any questions for Mr. Azar from our committee members? Hearing none. Attorney Garahy.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, John Garahy on behalf of the petitioner, the owner of the property. Let me say, first of all, that Kathy Lund, who's the owner of City Kitty, really wanted to have been here, but has a long-standing vacation and was not able to be here. She really wanted to be here to present her case, but I'm happy to do it on her behalf. Mr. Chairman, let me just say that this is a totally unique situation with respect to this property. Many people know that this has been a commercial, located a commercial establishment. Clark's Florist was here for many, many years, and although I'm very young, I even myself remember it being on this property. And some of the neighbors told me tonight that there was a florist on it before Clark's was located here. So this has been commercial for a very, very long period of time. Clark's fell into a little bit of disrepair, and this owner purchased it, I think, out of foreclosure, and put on the site, through a use variance, a model piece of property for this area and for this site. It's a 3-unit on the top with commercial on the bottom. They were required to get a use variance because it was located in an R3 zone, but it really is a marvelous piece of property. And I know that the neighbors are here and have some concerns, but I don't think anyone has any concerns with respect to the way the property is operated and maintained. It's first class, and that's the way it's going to continue to be. As Mr. Azar had indicated, because of the nature of use variances, the owner wants to expand her veterinary practice into the adjacent space within the building. But because of the nature of use variances, there can't be any expansion, so she is unable to do that. So there is no intention to make any changes other than to expand the veterinary practice. However, because of the use variance is so constrained, she would have no other uses with respect to the property going forward. As a result, we're seeking the change to C1, which is a neighborhood commercial establishment, which is entirely appropriate for this area. However, the neighbors had expressed some concern with respect to what possible future uses could be on the property. As a result of discussion with the neighbors and the councilwoman, we agreed to limit the uses to those which are described in the petition, which are the uses which are in the R3 use, which she already has the ability to do, plus the uses described in the amended petition, which exclude bars and some other types of establishments which were not agreeable to the neighbors. So we've paid that amendment. I'd ask that it be entered if it has not already been entered into the record.
It has been entered.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
It is Exhibit 9C, the substitution.
Thank you. So I would just add that, again, that this property has been maintained meticulously over the years. It's going to be continued to maintained. It's entirely appropriate. It should have been C1 right from the beginning, Mr. Chairman. It was not. It should now be C1. Out of respect for the neighbors, we've agreed to limit some of the uses, limit the gross floor area to under 3,500 square feet with respect to retail and restaurants and that type of general offices and that type of thing. We don't believe we believe it's certainly consistent with the neighborhood. As a matter of fact, it stands out as being terrific as a piece of property, the use and its looks. So
Attorney Gary, this is the result, this amendment is the result of a conversation with the neighbors? The neighbors have been engaged?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. The councilwoman and the neighbors have been engaged, as well as my client, in order to come up with a little bit of a middle ground.
Very good. Any question from committee members? Hearing none. Councilwoman Underwood, would you like to come up and speak on? You right up here, please.
Chairman Espinal and members of the committee.
Good
Let me
evening.
make sure I'm close enough. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come speak with you tonight about this. And can also agree with the attorney that Kathy did wish she could be here today. She was emailing with me at like 4 a.m. this morning. So very much to the last minute. And I really want to, I'm here to ask you to, instead of accepting the recommendation of the City Plan Commission, to instead accept a more compromised position that is the what you have before you today.
Right.
And that's why I'm here to say, please don't accept, please don't just accept that recommendation, but please do accept some of these restrictions. And just to share a little bit of background, so after the CPC had their meeting, I met with a number of the neighbors as well as with Kathy, who owns City Kitty in that building, to hear some concerns, particularly from the neighbors, about what could happen, not with the current use. I think everybody supports how it's currently being used, the expansion of City Kitty into the next piece over, which used to be a daycare, but there are concerns of, what happens in the future if Kathy decides, everybody retires, what happens in the future for the next thing. And in the spirit of collaboration, I just really also want to say I appreciate all the neighbors as well as Kathy for really coming out and for their really thorough and passionate discussion of this piece of property and for the future of our neighborhoods. The spirit of collaboration and transparency was really inspiring to me, and that people really came out to discuss. And I'll also share, there was no really perfect solution here. Everybody's concerns were valid. Kathy's were valid. All of the neighbors' concerns were valid. There was no perfect, everybody's going to sing Kumbaya together tonight, that everything in there is perfect. I think everybody had to feel a little uncomfortable. I think Kathy gave up a few things that she would prefer to have been allowed uses. I think some of the neighbors are seeing things or have seen things that they would also prefer not to. So I think everybody came with that spirit of collaboration, and I really appreciate that. I think the attorney, oh my gosh, that's not a word. The attorney already highlighted the unique nature of this property. And I also want to highlight how strong this neighborhood feels about the use of this property. When it first came up for sale about 10-ish years ago, there were uses that were proposed that were outside of the bounds of what's before you today. It's going to be a drive-through, it's going to be open late at night, and this is, while it's a commercial operation, it's set right near a very densely populated, very tightly knit residential neighborhood with a lot of residents who've lived there for a long time. It's really family-oriented, and folks who really just care about that character of the neighborhoods. There were concerns about anything operating here that would be open late at night, that could be loud, that could cause rat infestation, anything that could cause kind of like that breakup of that community. And so I also want to point out that this is a very unique property in that it's been operating commercial in a residential zone for a long time. and just want to state on the record that this is not an invitation for other properties in that corridor, which are currently residential, to apply to become commercially zoned. The others in that neighborhood have not been operating as commercial businesses. They are currently residential, and this is not an invitation for the rest of that corridor. I know that's a concern, to flip and suddenly be a lot of coffee shops and restaurants and things. It will stay residential. That's what's expressed in the comprehensive plan. So I just wanted to say that on the record. And if there are businesses who are like, I'd rather have a coffee shop, there are other spots on North Main Street and Hope Street further north that are open and available for that. And so with that, I just wanted to highlight again that this includes nothing loud, nothing that would be open late at night, nothing that will disturb this neighborhood peace. And I'm excited that we could have something that is a compromise among neighbors. And I know there's still some concerns on all sides, but I think this is a good compromise going forward for what could be in this space. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor. Any questions from my committee members for our colleague? Hearing none, let me just add that I'd like to thank you for your leadership on this. I know change is difficult. People live there for a very, very long time, and the petitioner also owns a wonderful business there. And when you're going to change that in a way, she's actually just expanding her own business, but it's very difficult. And your leadership sounds like you were able to bring the residents and the petitioner together to produce this document here, which sounds like most people agreed upon. Maybe not 100%, but it's something that you got to work on. So thank you for your leadership on this. You're making it a lot easier.
Thank you so much, Chairman. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And excited for her to expand, because I do bring my cats to that vet, and it's hard to get an appointment.
City Sergeant, do we have anyone else that signed up to speak on this item? Barbara Thurton? Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and councilors. Tina, thank you for hearing us tonight. There are only a few of us signed up, but there have been a lot of us involved in this conversation. And I do want to thank, again, Councilwoman Anderbois and Kathy for engaging with us in a spirit of cooperation. And I very much appreciate the amended petition that has been given to you. We didn't actually see the text of it until this afternoon. So while we know that C1 does lots of things, it changes the lot coverage from 45% to unlimited. It changes the backyard setback from 30 feet to 10 feet. It does a lot of things. So we're just trying to make sure that the businesses that come in there afterwards, perhaps, would be smaller and open during regular business hours, and kind of continuing what Attorney Garrahy referred to as the kind of the culture of the commercial uses that have been there all this time. Retail open during the day, limited come and go, not late night, not 5 o'clock in the morning. So the list is good, in my opinion, but there's something that kind of snuck in there on the end that we weren't expecting. We had, and I know you have about 15 opposition emails from different neighbors who were unable to come, but we're trying to avoid things that are open late or very early, like coffee shops and restaurants, and that generate food waste. So we would love, I'm kind of speaking in support of what is on the amended petition, but would ask that you consider striking restaurants and food service. There's still a lot of things there. What
You want to strike restaurant and food service?
Right. It says special food service. I don't, yeah.
And what would be the concern about that?
That a coffee shop would open very early in the morning, or a restaurant could stay open until 10 or 10:30 at night, which is outside of the times that we're trying. There are people's bedrooms right up against the fence of this property. They would also generate food waste and dumpsters with food waste, which the other businesses wouldn't necessarily do. And we have a pest problem. So we don't want to make that worse.
So you will have an issue with the hours of operations?
Yes, yes, sir.
But that's something that could be regulated through the licensing board.
Okay. I guess we need to figure out how to do that.
Well, if that was the case, what the petition is asking it to expand her business, which is a veterinarian service.
No opposition to that. We love Kathy, and we love that building. I mean,
Right.
we fought very hard against an inappropriate use, and we've got a building there that is just fabulous. It has mixed use. It has people there at night in their apartments. It has people there during the day in their business. It's open 9 to 5, 5 days a week. It's great. But this is a permanent change to the site. So we're just trying, and we've been there for. My husband was born in the house next door. I've been there for 37 years, but we want our families to continue to be there for a long time.
Right, and I agree with that. But what I'm also saying is that, hypothetically speaking, if something was to happen 20 years down the road, there's a process in place for anybody that will want to open up a restaurant. There is a process where you will have the opportunity to oppose that. But the decision tonight is to allow the petitioner to expand her business.
I thought it was to rezone the property.
With many limitations. Well, in order for it to expand, it'll have to be rezoned. And they have agreed on many limitations here.
Yeah, and I understand from Mr. Azar that would be an acceptable compromise. So yes, we're in favor of that. I would be remiss in representing the people that have been involved in the process if I did not protest the restaurant use in the list, because that was one of their strong objections.
Yeah, your point is well taken.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your input. Yes, absolutely. Go right ahead.
I wanted to really thank Barbara for that commentary, and two, wanted to apologize because there was no intention to sneak anything in. I think in a final email exchange, I think there was just some things weren't seen, and I feel awful about that. And
I understand.
But it was not an intention to slide anything through. So I just
you.
wanted that on the record. And thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you. And Turner Zimmerman.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank y'all for staying here and being here late.
3 hours.
I am a resident of Ward 3, but I am not one of the abutting properties, so I was not informed or made aware that this change was going to happen. And I think that brings about one of my greatest concerns with this city, which is the way in which zoning changes are happening, and without the public who want to know that drastic changes are going to be happening around the corner, letting them know. I wish that more opportunity was given to people who live close by to know that their home is going to change by the landscape around it. I also want to take a moment as a tenant myself to ask that we please recognize the lives of the tenants who are living above. This is not just a commercial place. It is a residential area. It has been R3 for a reason. It's an R3 because everything surrounding that is homes unless it's a daycare center. So it is precious and important to this community that the sentiment of that area be held. I'm not concerned or worried about a veterinary business. I am worried about what will happen afterwards. And while there may be due processes that have to take place, I was blindsided by this, so I have zero guarantee that I will be made aware in the future when other changes are going to happen, and that's a concern. I am asking y'all to please reconsider and reconfigure the way that you do rezoning processes in this city and the way that you make residents and your constituents aware of rezoning that's going to be taking place. I think more of us deserve to know, and right now that hasn't been happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter Thornton.
Good afternoon, or actually good evening.
Good evening, sir.
So my name is Peter Thornton, and my wife Barbara just spoke 2 speakers ago. So goes without saying that I'm going to second everything that she said, but I'm going to say that anyway. So I have lived in this neighborhood most of my life. I was born, as Barbara said, 2 doors down. So I just had some general thoughts and a request. This location has, while it has been commercial, the only thing it's really ever been is a flower shop. It started as McCarran's Flower Shop, and then Clark Florist bought it, and then it was bought by Shartner Farms down in East Greenwich. But it's the only retail that's happened there is a flower shop. But I'm going to take a step back a little bit and tell you a little bit about our neighborhood. Our neighborhood is what I would consider a very, very successful neighborhood, but also very fragile. And the reason it's successful, one of the reasons it's successful, is the incredible mix of races, of incomes, of nonprofit uses, such as the YMCA. We have an elementary school, Martin Luther King School, which is several blocks down the street from this location, Hope High School, several churches. So it's an incredible melting pot of the community, and it works really well. And I say it's fragile because, having grown up in Providence, I have seen other neighborhoods, such as the Thayer Street area and the Rochambeau Street, up where Hope Street meets Rochambeau, where there is commercial property. I've seen those commercial zones eat away at the residential zones. Even Wickenden Street, Wayland Square. There are many, we talk about the need for housing. I've seen blocks of housing go away to turn into commercial areas. So, as a lifelong Providence native, I get nervous when I see this kind of use happening. And we did meet with Kathy, and like Barbara and others, we are thrilled with City Kitty. But what worries me, as Turner just said, is what comes next. Because she won't be there forever, none of us will, but if we open it up too wide, then eventually our little wonderful community is going to turn into Thayer Street or Hope Street, both of which are great, but they have a lot of commerce, and we want to keep the integrity of the residential area as best we can. So my request is to include all those options except for the restaurant and the food service, because I can see a day when more restaurants will be along that strip, and it will force out all the residents, or many of the residents who live there, and the charm of the neighborhood will go away. So, but in general, I'm thrilled with City Kitty, and I want her to have that expanded use. I have no problem with any of that, but I get nervous with the restaurant and the food service for the reasons that Barbara mentioned, late nights. If there's a restaurant, will they want a liquor license? I know there's a process, but just opening that door opens the door. And I don't want to open that door. I want to keep it limited to those other businesses that are listed there. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Okay, so being that there is no one else that's signed up to speak on this item, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Just made by Councilor Peterson and second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. This public hearing is now closed. Right, so once again, I just want to thank everyone that played a role in working on this. As I said earlier, it is very, very difficult when you need to make changes like this. But I do feel that this sort of like an agreement amendment that I have in front of me, it takes, everyone put in and everyone sacrificed, gave up a little, received a little. And I do feel that this is in the right direction. If anything was to change in the future, there is a process for that. And of course, we will be willing and we be there at 300% to work with the neighbors to ensure that you keep your home and the peace that you enjoy. So for the time being, I'm really pleased with what came before us. So with that said, I'll entertain a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson.
Second.
And second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And item number 9, it's approved. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item number 10, please.
Item number 10 is a petition from Joseph Colaluca by John T. Longo Esquire, 996 Smith Street, Suite 101, Providence, Rhode Island, 02908, requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessor's Plat 99, lots 259, 260, 261, and 262, 57, 61, 65, and 69 Anchor Street, from R3 residential to R4 residential.
Madam Clerk, a request has been submitted to continue this item indefinitely, so I will. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this item number 10.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. This item is now, public hearing is closed on item number 10. And with that said, I'll entertain a motion to continue indefinitely. Motion is made by Councilman Royas, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 10 is continuing indefinitely. Item number 11, Madam Clerk, please.
Item number 11 is petition from John J. Garrahy Esquire, John J. Garrahy Law LLC, 2088 Broad Street, Cranston, Rhode Island, 02905, on behalf of Vitality Land Holdings LLC and GFM Realty LLC, requesting a zone change for the property located on Assessor's Plat 112, lots 432, 433, and 434, 95 Dedham, 101 Dedham, and 105 Dedham Avenue from R1 to R2.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to enter into the record Exhibit 11A.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. 11A is now part of the record. Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Azar, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This one, I think I need a little reminder here. Had this previously been before you for a hearing? And there was
I'm sorry that maybe this was continued from March 13th.
Yeah, and there was a substitution made at that time to correct what had been a reconfiguration of lot numbers. And okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, so this one would be an amendment to go from R1 to R2. This would allow for, rather than just single-family homes, two-family homes. And the CPC found that this was an area that has a fair number of lots that are undeveloped. Dedham Avenue itself has a portion that's undeveloped, so there would need to be a considerable amount of public infrastructure in order to develop these lots. It's adjacent to a C2 zone, and there is some R2 in the vicinity, so the CPC found that that rezoning this would be appropriate and consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Mr. Azar. Attorney Garrahy.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, John Garrahy on behalf of the petitioner. As you recall, there was a public hearing which was already held on this matter. We spoke and we testified. Neighbors spoke and testified with respect to it, and we continued it. We met on site with the neighbors and the councilwoman from the area to talk about it. I know the neighbors are not happy with change, but this, I really believe this is an appropriate area for additional housing. It's really an area that's dead end into a commercial zone. There's an R2 zone which is close by, two families which are right adjacent to this development. And I know that the neighbors, or one of the neighbors, are here to speak about it, but I do believe it's entirely appropriate. Some of the other area that's here that was originally a part of this petition may never be developed, so it's adjacent to it because of the topography and because of prior uses of the property. So it is entirely appropriate for additional housing in this area. And I know the neighbors are here. They were concerned about traffic, but it's really just 3 additional dwellings, 2-family dwellings on each lot from the original contemplation, which was 15 or 16, but it's now down to 3 lots, 2-family on each lot. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any question from the committee members? Councilor Peterson?
Is the developer here? I just wanted to clarify. You said that it went from 15 to 16 down to 3 2-family. Can you please?
Yes, I'd be happy. I'd be happy to address that. This owner originally had these was 2 lots. We went to the City Plan Commission and had 3 lots. The way it was just an administrative subdivision to create 3 lots out of the 2 lots. They also contemplated buying additional larger parcels within this area, which is adjacent to this area. And at that time, we had petitioned for all of those lots to be R2. As a result of investigation of the property, and they had the ability, after a due diligence period, not to go forward with those lots. They decided not to go forward with those larger lots, which would have been 15 or 16. So we're limited to the 3 lots.
Is that it? Thank you. Has anyone signed? Thank you, Attorney Gary. Anybody else? City Sergeant, please. And Andy Skipworth.
Hi.
Good evening.
Andressa Skipworth, 42 Dedham Avenue, Providence.
Thank you.
First, before I get started, I would like to mention that my petition for this meeting was not submitted, was not on the docket again as the February, March one. This is the one that I sent for April 17th. I sent it and received a response back on April 18th that, along with my attachments, but are not included in today's agenda. Okay. Okay.
So right here.
Okay.
This is actually Exhibit 11A. So here.
Okay, I currently have some documents that I would like to present as well. If that's okay with you?
Absolutely, bring them over. Sorry. What is in that here?
Okay, I'm just going to read from what I wrote.
Okay.
My name is Andressa Andy Skipworth. As you know, I am a resident of Ward 7, Dedham Avenue, opposing the zoning ordinance request change from R1 to R2 presented by Attorney John Garahy. I have obtained signatures from most of the residents of Dedham Avenue and also documents I would like to present to you to the board before I continue, which I just gave you. As I mentioned before, prior to demolishing the woods on both sides and the end of Dedham Avenue, we, the residents, did not view the commercial property on Hartford Avenue, which is now visible due to the construction. After the construction, we are now forced to look at a site of a commercial building as well as the 3 two-family dwellings. We are subjected to the noise of the Petty's Avenue and Hartford Avenue traffic, which the woods used to provide as a buffer. According to Mayor Smiley's letter to Councilman and Chair Espinal of the Committee on an Ordinance dated November 16, 24, Attorney John Garahy, represented Vitality Land Holdings and GFM Realty, LLC, appeared before the CPC on November 14, requesting the rezone of 95 through 105 Dedham Avenue from R1 to R2. The petitioner's attorney amended the request to include the above-mentioned lots, removing 105 Eliza Street, which was previously part of the request. What I find interesting in this letter is the finding of the facts. The lots are vacant and located to the east side of the undeveloped portion of Dedham Avenue. That is true. The C2 zone is located directly to the north of the vacant lots. That is also true. But the facts fail to mention that the C2 lot is located on Hartford Avenue and it cannot be accessed from the vacant lots. The lots to the west that are mentioned as undeveloped, that is true, but it isn't mentioned that the lots are also adjacent to Eliza Street, which is part of a cluster of 4 dead-end streets in that location, all zoned for R1s. There is no mention that you cannot access the C2 commercial lot listed to the north on Hartford Avenue from those lots. The most interesting thing I noticed in the finding of the facts is the lack of the information about the south portion adjacent to the vacant lots. That portion is Dedham Avenue itself, an R1 zone street also included in the cluster of the 4 dead-end streets in that area. I find that the statement from the CPC that the rezoning to R2 seems appropriate as the change will not represent a drastic increase into the intensity relative to the adjoining C2 zone, which may be true. However, it will have a drastic increase into the intensity relative to the adjoining R1 zone and the current residents that live there. This request to change the zone from R1 to R2 has nothing to do with Rhode Island's housing shortage, nothing to do with the creating housings for low-income families, nor does it have anything to do with the bills RIS 2632 or RIH 79858 that I was told that was going to be approved and was definitely going, and we needed to accept it. This is a request that will line the pockets of the 2 contractors, Vitality Land Holdings LLC and GFM Realty LLC. The 3 vacant lots were advertised and sold as single-family dwellings and should be built as such. We are asking you, the residents, the committee, to deny this request. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. As you know, I had the opportunity, we continue this item to promote public engagement.
Yes.
And I think we did that. I went there myself and I met with everybody that came over because I really wanted to hear the concerns and what those were. And you saw the findings of facts by the CPC who vetted this project, to which over 70% of that you agreed that it is in line with the comprehensive plan. It is in line with meeting the need of the housing needs in Rhode Island, and it's in line with many things that we need to look at. The property owner also has a lot of rights. He has rights to his property, just like you have rights on your property and everybody else that lives there, and you've been living there for a very, very long time. You know, but there's certain things that, certain way that we need to address this issue, and that's why I took the time to go there and to listen to everyone. I'm grateful for your advocacy. I think you took the lead on this and you organized everyone to explain, and you explained to everybody everything that was happening here, and you engaged your residents. Your advocacy is truly noted here. So I just wanted to thank you for all that. Thank you. Thank
But
you.
I would like to speak on that meeting that you mentioned.
Go right ahead.
We did request a meeting. John Gary, he did agree to meet with us along with the contractors as well. The contractors did not show up. All our questions were not answered. Our councilwoman did arrive. She did not speak, she did not support, she did not engage. That was the one and only time we did see her, and that was only because one of the residents showed up at her office. We haven't had any support or any communication with our councilwoman. I did speak to Representative Morales, who mentioned the 2 bills that I had mentioned that was going to be approved, and we had to get used to the idea. He informed me that the bills that in question were actually been reintroduced multiple times, and that the chance of them being approved it's going to take a while. So right now, if the zoning on this particular time is going to be approved, we are going to continue to fight and to stick up for our rights as well as our neighborhood. Because although housing is important in Rhode Island, so isn't it the people who already live in Rhode Island and in Providence and in that neighborhood. And the residents in that neighborhood has been there, like myself, 25, 30, 35 years. We're not opposing more housing. We're opposing multifamily housing. And that's what I want to make sure that is clear. And yes, you did come to the meeting, but the questions and the answers we received were not adequate.
Question from Councilor Peterson.
Thank you. This is just for clarification so that I understand. Attorney Gary, he mentioned that the project is now significantly smaller than it originally was. Is that not conforming?
The only project that I seen in advertised was the original one that he just spoke of. There was nothing else. They did originally try to go down the side of the street in the other two spots, but they realized that it was unbuildable, and that's why. But they did already clear out the woods, so the woods are gone. And then they moved over to the other two lots and created them into 3 lots, as opposed to the original 2 that they had. So that's what he's referring to. So it went from 4, the 2 on the side, and then the 2 current ones went from 4 to 3.
So to your knowledge, how many units will be there?
It seems like they bought the property as 3 single-family units. Right now, they're trying to do 3 multi-family units, so it's going to be at least 6, as opposed to 3.
Thank you. Councilman Vargas.
So, thank you for being here today, this late. The question will be to the attorney. Is it going to be still a dead end, or is it going to be a crossing over the street what it look like in the map?
It's going to still be a dead end.
Still be a dead end?
And they plan on expanding the street in order to reach the 3 dwellings. But it's still going to be a dead-end street.
Thank you. Motion to enter into the record 11B, Exhibit 11B.
So moved.
Made by Councilor
Second.
Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. 11B is now as part of the record. Thank you. Motion to close the public hearing on item
Second.
number 11. Motion made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilman Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed for item number 11. Okay, so on item number 11, we will follow the directions of the City Planning Commission, so I'll make a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson. It's second by Councilor Royce. All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 11 is now approved. Thank you. Madam Clerk, being that there is no other further business on the calendar, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilor Vargas. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so much for participating.